Hey, what's going on? John here, and in this video I'm going to go through the modern media buying landscape. Basically, things have changed a lot in 2025, and they're only going to change more in 2026. But basically, Meta has started to move away from the old way of targeting in Facebook ads in favor of creative targeting, and they're calling it the Andromeda update. Basically, earlier this year, they released this, and all the time they've been updating and updating and updating to have AI and their engines do the creative targeting for us instead of needing to say, oh, yeah, they're interested in this. I want this specific kind of avatar. You're like, this is my lookalike audience. And those campaigns can actually still work. It's not all or nothing right now, but they are moving to the Andromeda method much more. And the difference is basically instead of using interest-based targeting, lookalike audiences, or anything else in that kind of sphere, you are instead just using the copy and the creative to do the targeting for you. And what I mean by that is your copy will typically either say your avatar's name or say things directly related to that avatar. And now Facebook is going to read that content, get the context for it, and use that for part of its targeting. It's also going to use the video ads that you're using as well, or the static creative, because all of them contain different indicators that are relevant to your avatar. And the way that it's going to look is instead of having multiple campaigns, ad sets, and ads within that kind of taxonomy structure, now instead you're going to have one campaign, one ad set, and 15 to 50 different ads in one ad set. And what I was chatting with a couple buddies about is that even if they aren't spending, you can still leave them now. Before, you'd see a low performing ad and you're just going to trim it, right? You're going to say, okay, well, this one's clearly underperforming, even if it's getting a certain amount of spend. But the consensus currently, and again, all of the top world experts in meta ads are testing this consistently. A lot of us are talking as well to make sure that we're actually, validating some of these hypotheses. But over time, Meta and Facebook will just sequence the ads to your audience based on levels of awareness. So all within your campaign, you have different levels of awareness for your avatar. You have unaware people. Let's say you target for back pain. Unaware people would be, they don't even know that they have something that's about to cause them back pain, and they don't feel the symptoms yet, right? Like they're like, okay, cool, like I'm okay, I don't have a problem. Problem aware people are people who are like, they're holding their back. They don't know what's wrong, and they're just kind of, hobbling around all day. Solution aware people are actively searching for solutions. It's like, should I use a cream? Should I go to chiropractor, physiotherapy, sports medicine place? There's so many different solutions that they could be looking at. And this is about 3% of the market, like 1 to 3% of the market, depending on where you're at. The majority is problem and unaware. And then you have a small slice of the market that is product and most aware. So product aware are at least familiar with you to some extent. And this is people that have either found you on social media, they've seen your ad somewhere, they know your product and your ecosystem somehow, maybe word of mouth, but they know about you. And then most aware are people that have been following you for a long time, and they know who you are. And this is a very, very small segment of the market, obviously, unless you are a giant brand. But basically, now you want to have a range of creative that spans the entire awareness journey. So you want things that get people's attention and make them kind of curious or entertain them for unaware. You want problem aware, which helps them understand their problem. So it's like, hey, you're experiencing all these symptoms. It's really this. This is the problem. And if you help them understand it, then they believe and expect you to also understand the solution. And then for the solution, it's like how to, or how I would do this, or we're helping people with this thing. Click here to book a call, or that kind of stuff. So there's solution aware, product, and most aware. You start to get too specific, like, hey, I saw you checking out my stuff with like retargeting ads and emails. You can go here to either book a call or make a purchase and move to the next step. And now really what I'm boiling down to in my targeting strategy, I've got two main camps that most people I've talked to also fall into. I see a lot of people moving away from interest-based targeting in total, but a lot of people are still using lookalike audiences, and I'm getting quite good results still with lookalike audiences. And if you're not familiar, this is basically a list of people that you like. These could be leads that engage with you regularly. These could be customers, or these could be clients. I prefer clients for high ticket because it's like, okay, I know my ideal client is XYZ, they have this much income. So I create a very clean list of that and then use that to create a custom audience and then a lookalike audience from that custom audience. The other approach, and I've also been getting great results from this in the same ad account, so there's no massive secret with how this works. You can use creative only targeting, broad Andromeda style targeting. And the way that this works is you don't really target an audience. You don't say like, oh, they have these interests and stuff. You just say something like 30 to 60 or 35 to 65, whatever your age range is. And then you load up a ton of ad, a ton of copy, and then you just let it go, basically. And this is often outperforming lookalikes if the creative is really strong and if you have that full range of awareness creative. This is optional. I have not liked Advantage Plus in the past. It's kind of a vague thing that Meta has. It's like, oh yeah, use our Advantage Plus, kind of like advanced targeting. I mean, they're testing this a lot, so sometimes it can work great. I've seen it work really, really great in e-commerce for coaching and high ticket. I've seen mixed results. I still want to run experiments, and I expect this to get better over time. But for the time being, it's just kind of so-so. Yeah, so what works best? Ultimately, yeah, it just depends on the industry that you're in. If you are in the coaching space, it's going to be a very certain kind of thing. If you're using low ticket, Advantage Plus I could see working. If you are in e-commerce, Advantage Plus as well. But the biggest thing is that you want to have a testing methodology, right? Like you want to actually see which kind of campaign structures, lookalike audiences, targeting, ad copy, angles, levels of awareness are working best for your audience and avatar. And you can make these hypotheses and test them as well. And that's what we do, right? We use sprint structures of roughly 2 weeks, and we like to run an experiment, make sure that we hit statistical significance, and then make sure that there was no kind of erroneous events or things that could have thrown off the results for us, do an evaluation, learn our lessons, and then move on or scale or maintain that kind of campaign. But basically, the main implication here is that creative is becoming everything. And it's only going to become more that case as different places like Google and Facebook and everybody is in this AI space race. They're going to use AI as much as possible. They're going to try to make their customer experience for people as good as possible. And a lot of the time, they're probably going to trust their own AI to make decisions based on your ads more than people will, because people always look for hacks and ways to kind of cheat the system and find growth hacks. I've done a lot of growth hacking in my past as well, but they're just going to have AI doing a lot of stuff. And the cool thing about this is, like, you don't need as much media buying expertise in the future. Media buyers are still very worth having in your sphere, and depending on the size of your company, it's always better safe than sorry having someone who knows what they're doing looking at your account. But what I like about this is that it increases the accessibility of this over time in terms of like button pushing, basically, and how you are technically doing the targeting. And instead, it's going to depend on how good you are at messaging. It's like, what is your message? What are you trying to tell people? Are you good at communicating that clearly? And that's where the real competition is going to be, which I love because, we're great at creative and copy. So this is kind of our playground, and we're only going to get deeper with this too. Anyway, moving on to the next step, the way that we are starting to combine the paid ads and organic content strategy, the way that is overall working best, is retargeting between the two. Basically creating a bridge between organic and paid, where you have organic content overall, which is trust building, like YouTube videos that's distributed into Instagram and LinkedIn content, dedicated reels, other posts, all that kind of stuff. And it's very, very value-centric content, story building, relationship building, and that kind of stuff. So minimal CTAs. And then you can use tracking to actually retarget them. And then because people see that it's an ad, they don't get upset because you're asking for things with your free content. And you're still building trust with your content on your profiles. But then you can use retargeting and set up this retargeting flywheel that really gives you this omnipresence, not just with distributing your content across multiple platforms, which we help you do and show you how to do, but also so you can now kind of follow people to different places as well. So if they land on your website, for example, you can start to retarget them pretty much anywhere. If they go to your YouTube videos, you can retarget them on Google. If they go to your Instagram, you can retarget them on Facebook, and vice versa. And you can start to create this really, really awesome flywheel of getting people through into your ecosystem and converting to the thing that you want them to convert to. So yeah, we keep them separate again because we want to build that trust and value on the one side and have people kind of organically want to seek you out. Because if you don't ask for things for long enough, eventually they'll be like, hey, how do I work with you? and then you give them a clear door to do that, which you can set up in your description, and we'll help you do that as well, in your YouTube description, in your bio, all that kind of stuff. And then you use paid ads for a more direct line. So yeah, from that, basically, again, you can check out this retargeting wheel, or if you want this resource, we can get you access. But the strategic advantage in kind of like a table here, so you can understand this really clearly, is the organic only side is gonna take a while, right? Like, it's a really, really good space, but the challenge is that it just takes so long a lot of the time to really build and get to a point of scale. A lot of the time because people quit too, because they're building, they never spend enough time to actually get results with organic content, so they kind of tap out, and then they're like, okay, well, and then they move on to the next thing and try some kind of new shiny object. With paid, cold traffic is really good. It's harder to convert and it's more expensive typically, but when you have a really dialed in funnel, it's like a kind of more of like a direct lifeline that gives you enough time to then build the organic content, gives you more practice. The challenge is that it's, yeah, very, like, people are very skeptical with direct ads, because it's like, hey, I just met a stranger online and they want me to pay them 10K, something like that can be tough, right? So the cool thing with an integrated system or omnipresent retargeting and authority system is that you have the best of both worlds. You can target people for direct conversions, and you can build that trust over time. They can find you. They're like, okay, who is this person? They look you up. They find you on YouTube. They find you on social media. They're like, okay, this is a real human being. And you have the kind of content that demonstrates your authority. So short term, it helps you build that authority and trust, and it helps with those kind of downstream conversions. And then long term, it helps create that flywheel where the more people you get into your ecosystem, the more they're going to follow you, and the more your audience grows. So I like it a lot. It's super, super cool. And the way that we, basically do it is, like, we want to track people throughout their journey as well, with a little bit more micro retargeting. Between the organic and the paid side, again, you have those levels of awareness where they're going from unaware to product aware to most aware and ready to buy. And you can track them through the journey using different tools and automations at different points. You don't need to get super, super granular. And that's where kind of like more advanced media buying comes in. And what I mean by that is you don't need to have, like, okay, if they watch 3 seconds in my video, I'm going to retarget them with this ad. If they watch 7 seconds, I'm going to retarget them with this ad instead. If they watch 60, you can just bucket it where it's like, okay, if they watch 30 seconds of content, like in an ad, I'm going to retarget those guys because, like, they stayed around for a while, right? Like 30 seconds is not a short amount of time when people are flipping through on their phone, like scrolling through your ad, right? Same thing with email clickers. You can retarget people in your funnel that are about to book a call with you. If they're going to your live events, like, there's so many ways to do that throughout your funnel. And that can be, again, the entire flywheel between your organic content funnel and your paid ads funnel as well. So having the occasional CTA in organic content is fine, but we want ads and other kind of mechanisms to do the majority of the lifting for that. And we want to send people valuable assets in organic content so they move forward, and always give them a clear way to move forward as well. Why this matters? Yeah, so ultimately our philosophy for scaling creative, and this is the most important part where this comes in. It's like, okay, 15 to 50 different creatives is a lot, right? Like, that's a lot to produce. It's a lot to record. It's like, what should my copy be? What should my script be? What should my video edit look like? What kind of screen size should it look like? There's so many things to consider. Luckily, we have that all on lock for you. Like, we'll do that all, and then we have a specific testing and scaling methodology, we call a matrix, to make decisions on what kind of creative tests we're going to run across those levels of awareness. So basically an ad boils down into four core concepts here. So we have the hook, the opener, the body, and the CTA. The hook is like that kind of like visual hook or something where they like they get your attention, where it's like, what's this thing? Like, what's this one thing that people don't know about topic? And it kind of like opens a loop for them. Or it can just be like a direct kind of like call out to an avatar. It's like, hey, for men over 50 looking to lose 5 pounds in the next 10 days. That, like, something like that. That's like more of a lower, like, solution aware kind of audience that you'd hook. And then opener is how you kind of lens them to look at the rest of your content. The opener is sort of, now that you've got their attention, convincing that they should keep giving your attention for the rest of this, and how they should give your attention too. So the opener can either frame them around the problem, it can frame them around the solution, it can frame them around identity. Like there's so many things that you can do with an opener that by the time they go through the rest of the body, like they have a completely different perception about what they're looking at. It's like you can put red glasses on them or blue glasses or yellow glasses, really whatever you want to put on them, and that's through the opener. Maybe you want them to be like more kind of like sad in a problem state. Maybe you want them to be like, yes, like I can do this, and you can like really control that with the opener. The body is like your core argument, showing testimonials, proof, all that kind of stuff, and then your CTA is what to do next. So these are the elements that we test, and here is basically how we do it. There are the levels of awareness side. So we like to test across levels of awareness, and then we like to test hook variations and opener variations. We typically keep the body and CTAs pretty similar based on what's typically worked time and time again. But we're always going to find kind of like the pillar ad or like ad VSL, the thing that converts the best with a really strong body. And then we test openers and hooks for variations faster, because you can change 3-second hook on like a 3-minute ad and have a completely different result from that one change. And to give you an idea of how much one small change can make, I sent an email for clients and community a while ago, helped them generate 2.4 mil in email revenue, but the one thing that got double the results was the subject line change. One of them was, "Is this you?" ? The other one was, "I want to interview you." And the "I want to interview you" subject line got, I think 2x the clicks and bookings than the other one. Some of those were unqualified because they didn't even read the email. They just saw the subject line and then clicked the link and jumped to the next step. But the point is that even one small change can have a completely different impact on the result, because when they saw "I want to interview you," that appealed to their status, that appealed to, some kind of like bigger outcome that they might be able to get, as well as some kind of access that they would get to, where "Is this you?" is like strictly an identity level question without those other benefits. So very little things can have a big impact downstream. And that's why we test hooks the most, because you can do them quickly and you can test a lot and get good data. Same thing with openers. This is the next thing that we test, because there are so many different types of openers that you can use that help people frame in so many good different ways. And kind of a visual way to imagine this is like we have all these different hooks, all these different openers, and through this we have so many different dimensions to test around, meaning one ad could basically be chopped up infinitely to create infinite variations. So it's super important to understand which kind of tests you're supposed to run, which level of awareness test you're going to run, which kind of opener test you're going to run, whether it's story, internal dialogue, problem aware, solution aware, opener. Like there's so many different things you can test. And that's why we have this internal methodology to be able to test the most important things consistently. And then from there, we go through, depending on where you're at in your business, we go through the MVP launch stage. So we want to find something that works for you first, right? It's like, okay, what is going to resonate with this audience and get them to move forward the best, right? And so we make sure, number one, that the copy is really good. We make sure that the scripting is good, the voiceover is good, the avatar is good too, or like the actor in the ad. And there's so many things you can do with AI now to make that even faster, where people don't even understand how good it is. I used to work in a software company, and we hired a video production firm to help with making some ads, and I think it was something like $50K for 2 weeks of work, and for one ad. It was a good ad for sure. It was like one of those high production style ads, but between the actors, the film crew, the post-production, pre-production, like all that stuff, it was so expensive. Now we can test so much faster without having to front a huge bill for production. It's amazing. It's so good. And most people getting into the space that haven't done it before have no idea how good it is. So please understand that. It's so good. It's amazing. But yeah, essentially we want to launch, we want to find the winners, and then we want to iterate on the winners. So again, we're going to test different hooks and different openers. Sometimes we'll take full swing tests and test the full body as well. But for the most part, we just want to do those quick win tests. And then we start to scale and diversify ads over time. So this can be basically segmented into chunks of like how you want to test across different campaigns, different avatars, different core angles or products. And then it's basically going to be the same methodology, just multiplied. So after you solve for one unit, and this is the case, this is what I believe for everything. It's like you want to solve one unit super, super well for something. It's like before, what would be the analogy? It's like you don't want to throw 1,000 crappy punches if you're in a fight. You want to throw like 10 like really, really good ones, or 1,000 amazing punches, like really, really good, where it's like just gonna overwhelm the opponent. But if you throw like kind of weird, I don't know where I'm going with this analogy, but like if you're trying to chop down a tree, like you don't want to like just swing and like just tap the tree and it's not going to make any moves. You want to swing really, really well as many times as you can, and that's what we do with these ads. So we solve it once extremely well, and then we multiply that methodology, understanding your audience with how they resonate and convert. So and again, I've already covered this, but again, we test so much around the hooks and openers because like 90% of people just scroll past right away before they even see anything, which means you're losing like 90% of the potential conversions from an ad because they're just gone. They're gone. Because if an ad falls in a forest and no one's around to watch it, can it make you any money? And no, the answer is no. A lot of other people leave within the first 10 seconds, so it's like the opener failed to keep their attention. And then very, very few, and this is like generous, very few people make it to the actual end and see the CTA, right? So you need to have really, really, really good everything, number one, but really good openers and hooks. Yeah, and I'm not going to go through this whole thing. It's basically the same thing. We just go through a specific process and validate it at each stage because you don't want to scale something that's not profitable, right? You want to make sure that things are clear and validated at every single step. But as you start to get into the flow and finding what works for your audience, you can keep on building on that and keep on iterating on that until you just absolutely crush ads all the time. And one of the favorite ads that we have is like the ad VSL, and it's almost like a VSL, which can be like 10 to 40 minutes depending, and we condense it down to 2 to 4 minutes depending on the industry and depending on the argument we're trying to make. And it's really a complete contained argument, all the way from like unaware or problem aware, sometimes solution aware, all the way through to the persuasion, showing social proof and getting people to take action. So we like ad VSLs. Because they're just fully contained arguments. So it's like, does this resonate with you? Yes or no? And usually for an ad that's enough to get people to go forward, we like using those with application funnels, quiz funnels, and other book a call funnels because, again, they are more indoctrinated and ready to go when they get on a call with a salesperson. So yeah, avatar testing is also super important. Like we do this a ton too. Testing across gender, race, and just like overall kind of like archetype. Like there's so many things you can test because people resonate with people that look more like them and talk like them and have the same kind of beliefs. So if you can demonstrate that with different avatars, different copy, different scripts, then you're going to be able to penetrate the market in bigger ways. Because as a founder, you're kind of limited in a box with how many people you can reach before you start to have a like a decaying effect on effectiveness of the ads and conversion rates. But when you introduce a new avatar, then they can resonate with more people in a way that you couldn't. And then that improves the aggregate total results of your campaigns. So there's so many things that you can do there. And this is roughly kind of like a structure that it can look like when you open a single ad set within one campaign. And again, this used to not be the case at all. But you have unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware all pretty much in one. And you can use these most aware, which normally are going to be your retargeting ads in that single ad set, but you're also going to have retargeting campaigns separate. So yeah, it can be a lot. It can be like up to 50. I'm going to pop that in there real quick. So yeah, what we need from you to be able to launch these ads effectively, a really, really important thing here to keep in mind is that we like progress over perfection. Perfection is great, and we strive to make as good video and copy and visuals and audio, everything as good as we possibly can. But sometimes things are not going to be perfect, and there's a balance between perfection and editing and kind of refinement and revisions and making progress, which is going to market as quickly as possible, getting data so you can make good decisions. Because we can have an idea of what's going to work, but until we have actually tested it, we can't actually know. And this is really for people that are launching ads for the first time or have, a very limited number of creative in the first place. Because again, a lot of people get stuck with just like one ad, maybe that's kind of consistently working for them over time, but it won't work forever. Typically, results will go down over time. People see the same ad over and over and over again, and eventually, some people will click because they're almost frustrated by seeing the same ad so consistently. But the most important thing is just to move quickly. So in terms of at least the copy quality control, we have an AI quality control process. We've already shared this with you. So we gave complete instructions on how to set up your AI brain clone, basically. So this is, it will understand everything about you and your business as deeply as possible, up to like 90-95% of like who you are and like what you believe and all that kind of stuff, based on all of the foundational documents that we set up with you, including like market, avatar, offer, pitch, your profile snapshot, your voice DNA, all that kind of stuff. Should all be in there, plus some of the compliance stuff that we also shared in this doc. So if you have not set this up, please set this up. Super, super important, because you or your cyborg VA, when we place them with you, will be able to just take any copy we have, pop it into there, and it's like you just poured like 30 minutes over doing it manually, and it's so, so quick. So you can do this really quickly. You can do it manually too, that's okay, but it just reduces friction so much more when you can move quickly. And we like to move quick because, again, we get more results, we get more learning faster, and we can, if someone takes like 2 weeks to make a decision or to learn a lesson, if we can condense that down to 3 days, then we're going to move faster and we're going to win, right? So from there, these are just the documents that I mentioned. They should be in your Notion board. And if you're watching this and you're not a client, that's basically how it works. We have a Notion board where clients go through and they can see everything that we've helped set them up and make sure that it's good to go. And then I'll always, of course, you're also going to want to make sure that all of your pages and links are working and connected. We're going to help you set all that stuff up and double check and quality control, make sure that things are working. But it's always good to have a second pair of eyes on this. Even one link break can mean that someone doesn't get something. Like if you can't send them your pre-called resource, if the pre-called resource isn't done yet, that's okay. We want to get that in there as quickly as possible. But if they try to click on a link and it's broken, they'll just kind of be confused. And it kind of is like a little ding on your reputation too, because it's like, oh, like their link doesn't work. That's kind of unprofessional. People just subconsciously think that, to call the elephant in the room out. But yeah, we want to make sure that all the dots connect so they can see the ad, they can click the ad, they can fill out a form or watch a VSL and then book a call, and that book a call works, and they can always make it down to and actually talk to somebody so you can collect cash, because if any of those dots aren't connected, then you're going to lose deals in the middle. So outside of that, we should already know this by this point. If you're watching this video, there's a very good chance that you've already approved the avatar documents and helped refine and edit those with us. And then all of your other kind of like brand details and that kind of stuff too. All really important to make sure that these are good. Budget and timeline expectations are important too. Depending on where you're at, you might already be spending $50 a day, $100 a day, 500, 1,000, 5,000. Like you could be at a different stage than other people. And depending on where you're at, we're either helping you launch, we're helping you refine your existing campaigns and funnels, or we're just doing some more experimentation with new campaigns and creative testing and targeting. Ultimately, if you can give us approval as quickly as possible, double check everything, make sure that it's compliant with your industry. There could be certain keywords that you want to flag out. And again, in the AI brain documentation that we sent you and in that training, you should have access to some fundamental compliance stuff. You might want to add in some more based on what your knowledge is. Like there might be some nuance or rule or bylaw or something that it's impossible for us to know. But if you have it in there, then we can get the copy 80, 85, 90, 95% of the way there, and then you can just make sure that last 5% is cinched away. And with your AI brain, it's super, super fast too. So outside of that, we will never increase your budget without approval, unless you've given us carte blanche approval. Just like go for it. Increase budget however you see fit. We'll still update you and stuff, so you can always flag it, and you'll also get your weekly ad reports to know what's going on too. Outside of that, between us, we have our in-house media buying team, and we also have an ad media buying partner. Because media buying is getting super, super simple, we've partnered with somebody that can help run the media buying side of things. We give them the creative; they have access. They're great at what they do, and they just give a little extra layer of redundancy to make sure that things are running. But we'll give you complete guidance on this too, so don't worry about it. Campaign review, yeah, we'll always do campaign reviews. We don't want to do every day because it's kind of like watching the stock market, and like seeing those like up and down candles. You're gonna start panicking because sometimes one day, for whatever reason, it's like cost per lead is $500. Oh my gosh! But then you zoom out to a week and it's 20 because of whatever happened on that day. Maybe it was like a holiday, something whatever might have happened. Sometimes you'll get those weird things happening, but typically the average is going to be sustainable. You'll also want to check trend over time, so it's like 30-day period, 14-day period, 7-day period, and then see how it has been, how it's been getting, and then you can make adjustments and decisions based on that information as well. So we'll go through this all. Your target cost per lead is going to really depend on the kind of market that you're in, your in-funnel booking rate, and overall profitability. I think I have a note in here somewhere where like these are all fine, right? Like cost per click, conversion rates in the funnel, click-through rates, all that kind of stuff. All those metrics we want to make as good as possible. But the ultimate North Star is this campaign profitable? Is this making you money? For every dollar you put in, are you getting $3, $5, $7, $10 back out? Because if you're not, then that's the thing we want to focus on, and then get more specific and granular. But if you have a 0.2% click-through rate on your ads or something, it's like, oh, it should be 1 to 3%. But it's like we're getting a 20x ROAS. Then does it matter? And we'll try, and we'll run experiments. We'll try to make that as high as possible. But if your ROAS goes down to like 3 or something, and it's like, well, now we have a 3% click-through rate. It's like, what would you prefer at the end of the day? Personally, I would prefer the 20x ROAS, which we actually got for one of the funnels recently, which is really good. Yeah, so again, like the important context here, it really depends. Is it profitable? Yeah, and in terms of, a couple benchmarks throughout the funnel as well, because we don't just treat ads in isolation. It's not just like, oh yeah, like ads, like they're just their own little silo over here. It's like, no, whatever funnel you're running, we want to know those downstream effects. Ultimately, it would be great to track LTV depending on where you're at, how good your tracking is. That will or will not be possible. But at least if we know what's converting into sets and closing calls and cash collected and revenue, then we can know again like the downstream effects, not just like, oh, are you getting a lot of like leads? It's like, that's fine, but are they converting? Ultimately, what's the goal, right? So these again will kind of depend on what kind of funnel you're running, but yeah, just a few kind of targets. Like if you are getting a good in-funnel booking rate, less than 30% is like, it can happen. 20, 25 to like 50 is really good. We've had that at different points. Also depends on the market, depends on seasonality, because if people are like in the summer for one of the offers, it's like they're off, like they're out of work, they're just not plugged in. So the in-funnel booking rate goes to like half, and the cost per lead goes up like 50%, which sucks. But that's just kind of what happens, and then you can kind of vet for and plan for and kind of pad for those situations. For the show rate and kind of close rate and stuff, you just want it to be as good as possible. For closes, when people show up, like really like solid is 30 to 40%. 20 to 30 is like acceptable. 10 to 20 is like, let's get that up as much as possible. And then if it's like below 10%, then that's typically a problem. Again, context matters, depends on the industry. It's like if your close rate is 10% but you're selling jets, then you're probably fine. I don't know that industry, but yeah, you're probably fine. The other thing that we do is run CRO over time. So CRO, or conversion rate optimization, is finding incremental ways to improve performance throughout your funnel outside of like those big swings that you can do to like set up a funnel and make sure it's working in the first place. When you have a funnel that is working well or close to working, then you can use CRO to push things over the edge. So for example, if you have, I think this is the demo where I show, yeah, a baseline funnel, where it's like you've got a 2% click-through rate, and you get 250 landing page views. 20% of those convert into leads, so you get 50. 40% booking rate, so you get 20 of those into booked calls. 50% show rate, you get 10 shows, and then 20% close rate, you get 2 customers out of 5K ad spend. And then if your average deal is 10K, then you get 20K revenue, which is 3x ROAS, which is not terrible. You know, it's like you want that higher, but it's like not terrible. But if you improve things by 5% roughly at each stage, here's what can happen. Like you get a just slight increase, so it's like 13 more visitors, right? And then the conversion rate's up, so now you have 55 leads instead, and then you get 3 more book calls, and you get more shows, and you get more customers when they close, which turns into more revenue, which turns into a 5x ROAS. And this is without changing any ad spend. The ad spend is the exact same from when you had that baseline funnel to now. And that's just from CRO. So CRO is making those tiny adjustments within the funnel to make the user experience better, to make conversions better, and to get more money without spending more ads. So depending on where you're at, this is something that we will definitely do, but it's not the first thing to do. And then in terms of testing, you want to reach something called statistical significance. This depends on the industry, and there's different sample sizes that can help you reach that. There's different tools for this that we use internally, so you don't need to worry about it too much. But basically, it is enough people that have done something where you can confirm a result from a change. So it's like, okay, group A versus group B, like a split test. Group A did this, group B, we had like 20% more. And the size of this group wasn't like 3 people in each, because that could just be random, right? But maybe you have like 500 in each or 300 in each that did that, and then you can see the lift, and it's like, okay, this was actually better, and we're pretty confident in that being true. It's not always going to be true. Like there's a little bit of margin for error and stuff, but that's basically how it works. You find something, you try to get as confident of results as you can with something, and then make an informed, data-driven decision to improve what you are doing. That's pretty much it. So our experiment methodology, when it comes to doing CRO, running ad tests, all that kind of stuff, is we like to do it in a sprint structure. So over 2 weeks, roughly. It could be like a 2, maybe a 4-week sprint. We like to have a hypothesis. We like to set up experiment kind of cadence and like kind of the ecosystem for the experiment. And then we start the experiment, make sure that nothing happens throughout the experiment that throws off results, because if it does, then we like kind of annul or cancel out that experiment. And we monitor, usually for like 14 days is more reliable. 7 days, like different events can change within a week. 2 weeks at least balances out the average a little bit to make it more, just less variable, less likely for there to be one-off things that throw off the results. And then we do some analysis and then iterate and repeat with new variations and more tests. This depends on where you're at. Again, if your funnel is working really well, there are less opportunities for like micro optimization. It's like not really worth your or our time to do like tiny little button changes and stuff until you're spending like a huge volume where it's like that 0.01% lift in conversions actually resulted in like an extra 50, 100K or something like that. So it really depends, but we look for the biggest wins possible to run experiments through sprints. And let me order this real quick. This is roughly true. We will do different experiments over time. Ultimately, we want to find something that works first, so that's week 1 to 2, right? Like we want to find something that is converting consistently that you can say like, okay, cool, like that's working, great, perfect. And then over time, we go through different avatars, static versus shorter videos versus like longer form. Like there's so many different ways to test. Awareness level, doing more curiosity-based hooks, more like UGC style. Like there's so many different experiments you can run. It really depends on where you're at, and we'll just keep testing, right? Like that's the main thing. It's like, hey, here's some lessons that we learned. Here's what those lessons could mean. Because if you know what those results of the experiments are, you can apply that throughout your funnel as well and potentially inform your salespeople and make better decisions for your avatar. And then for funnel CRO, again, it's like we'll just look through your entire unit economics for where the best opportunity for growth and improvement is. This is a simpler view. There's usually like what I call micro, macro, and global experiments that you can run. Global is like you change your offer and like whole positioning. Macro is like you change a step. It's like the sales process. Micro is you change something within an ad. So there's different levels of tests that you can do with different degrees of impact and different degree of swing on a micro level and a system level. Usually when it's a very, very big company, you do a lot of micro tests and try to do almost like kind of like the James Clear approach of atomic habits, like 1% better every day, and then it just stacks up over time. That's more what that kind of game is. For smaller businesses, or if you're not doing that many tests, then you're looking more to do big swings and macro or global changes and experiments, like really, really big swings. So again, we look for anywhere we can find leverage and just make sure that we are getting you the best results possible through these experiments. And this is going to be semi-collaborative too. For the most part, we will drop our experiments that we are planning on running, and you can just thumbs up or thumbs down them. And we'll just drop you a message. You'll see that in Slack, or if we already have an agreement kind of set up, or you've chatted with your CSM, then we'll just be doing that and like showing you the results and lessons. So outside of that, scaling ads up is definitely a bit of a game, and it turns into a bit of a different game after time. But the way to do it is using airlocks, I like to call them. And this is a way to reduce your risk or mitigate your risk against blowing out your cost per acquisition or cost to acquire customers, or CAC. And the way that we do that is not by jumping a large amount of ad spend overnight. We like to go in increments, like 20% increments over time. Sometimes we can make that jump a little bit bigger, but we always want to make sure that things are validated before we go to the next stage. Because if you suddenly decide to crank ads and you're not 100% confident that they're going to be working with your current sales process, then there is a very good chance that you're going to blow a lot of money on leads that aren't going to convert, or just your cost per lead is going to go up massively. So it's super important to do this step by step and make sure that it's scaling the way that you want. And these are roughly the stages, validation, eventually getting up to 100 to 200 per day, $200 to $500 per day. This is starting to get into like decent spend. And then kind of like aggressive scaling, depends on where you're at. Like you can go a lot higher than this too. It really depends on what you're trying to sell, how big your market is, and how much you make from your customers. So this really, really depends. Like if you make $1 million per sale or something, like a cost per booked call of 10K probably isn't the worst thing, right? So it really depends on your conversion rate and all that kind of stuff. But if you could effectively, get 50 leads and it not make, not make that much of a difference, and like you still are profitable, then that's worth it, right? So ultimately this is just some quick criteria for scaling versus optimization. Scaling is when you're consistently profitable and your process is validated. Then you can start to stack up, clone your campaigns, set up more creative. Like there's so many things you can do to scale. And you don't want to scale if you are all over the place and if your process isn't validated and you're not making enough money from your campaigns, because again, that's a very good way to spend a lot of money on not getting results. And I won't go through too much here, but eventually we get into granular retargeting. And this is where we go into and try to find the best ways to retarget your audience to either increase show up rate, increase your cost per lead, increase the show up rate to your webinars versus sales calls. Like there's so many things you can do to get people back into your ecosystem and to kind of like follow them around with different kind of like conversion focused, fun, entertaining like there's so many different kinds of retargeting ad based on where they are in their customer journey in getting to know you, whether they're like just a visitor or a lead or a booked call or webinar registrant, or if they have been on sales calls. You can retarget different people at different stages to get them to move through. You can also eventually retarget your customers on the other side of that paywall as well. You can get them to consume your content more. It's like, hey, you're so close, you got to keep going. Let's get those results for you. Something like that. So there's a lot that you can do without going into too much detail here. And again, ultimately, you just want your funnel to be successful, and that's what our methodology and philosophy ultimately boils down to. If you are profitable, people can make fun of your metrics, but if you're profitable, then you can just laugh at them anyway. Because what's the point at the end of the day? To show off metrics or to show off bank account, right? Yeah, so I'm not going to go through this. This timeline really depends as well. Like, you can move faster, you can move slower. It really depends on your specific situation. So the first 30 days with learning, yeah, we kind of get to, like, in terms of our relationship, we'll get to know each other more. We will make sure that all of the foundations are absolutely set up. All of the most important conversion retargeting stuff is set up. Your reactivation campaign is going, and we are testing ads as quickly as possible to get that data, to learn those lessons, and then keep on moving from there. And you could be in kind of like a not huge spend period for a long time too. If you're like working, and if it's working, we want to move as quickly as possible to get to the next stage. But for example, if you need to validate your sales process a little bit more, get more training, get more call reviews, that kind of stuff, to make sure that you are actually closing, then that's okay. You know, you can take it a little bit of time depending on the stage that you're at, because each new stage will also introduce new problems that you're not aware of. We try to address a lot of that down funnel with different accountability protocols and automations that we have, so you can give those to your clients. We also have different customer success automations and call reviews and like accountability system and success systems that we also have to map out your customer's success journey or your client's success journey. And that can go from the moment they pay to the moment they are getting activated to the moment that they are fully onboarded, or onboarded then activated, and then they're kind of in the regular success loop, and then they get results, refer, etc. So there's a lot that we can do. And then again, ultimately, really to boil this down, our philosophy is experimentation over perfection. Perfection in ads doesn't really exist, because it's always going to change too. Like, even there's very few examples where ads are really truly evergreen. At best, they're seasonal, and you can kind of refresh and turn them on, back off, depending on if it's a really good ad, and people just get kind of like tired of seeing it. But the best way to keep learning is to keep testing new ways of messaging with your audience, and then finding those winners, keeping those in mind, and then getting those back into the cycle over time. Yeah, the path to perfect is basically, let's get them good, let's launch them, let's find those winners, keep creating and finding more patterns for testing between those hooks and openers, sometimes full body test as well. Iterate on those winners and make them really polished, and then perfect through repetition, and we'll help you with that literally every single step of the way. And again, this caveat is super important. Perfect ads still will lose effectiveness over time. Markets will change, seasons will change. That means that conditions are not always static. And if something was perfect, it addresses all conditions, which is by definition impossible. So expect that even the best performing ads will eventually have to get swapped out, or at least paused, so there's a chance for the market to kind of like refresh and then get that back in front of those people so they're ready to move forward. So yeah, you can use this document just to get clarity on our process and our philosophy and methodology, our scaling matrices, our testing methodologies, all that kind of stuff. And again, please, if you have not done this already, open the Living Doc and AI brain clone training, and those documents in there. Check out those prompts. Make sure that your Cyborg VA is trained on this as well, because it effectively makes them a proxy for your ability to quality control things, which opens up so much time leverage for you, and that lets us move even faster, so we can learn, we can test, and we can help you grow even faster. So please use this. This again is effectively a clone of your brain, where I always thought when I was like younger, it's like, I wish I had a clone, because I think I'd be my own best friend. It's like, now you can do that with AI, right? And it's like, you can have someone on your team effectively be that friend, at least within the scope of editing your content and copy. So please do that. And then again, always zoom out, look at the full picture instead of individual data points. If you get stuck on a data point that is not really relevant to the overall success of your campaign, then you got to zoom out a little bit. And that is really just profitability at the end of the day. And be patient with yourself in the learning phase, because it will take time to reach your cadence, to get clear on your message, because it's not always straightforward, right? We're good at copy because we practice that a lot. We practice the purpose of clarity and kind of messaging and getting that out. The reason that we like to work with people, and we're working with you as well, is that we can help you get to that point too, where you're ultimately clear on your transformation, because you know a lot, like you are the absolute expert, but other people don't know that, and you'll take a lot of that knowledge for granted, and sometimes it's hard to get that message to them. So it's okay if it takes a little while. You will get through this learning phase, and there are different learning phases. There's infinite learning phases through life, which is why it's really cool. But be patient with yourself, and then trust the process. We've done this a ton, very consistently. So if you have any questions or concerns or anything, ask your CSM, or check out our documentation, check out our trainings. We've documented the vast majority of what we do already, so you can get really, really specific and very, very granular. And again, just a very important reminder, the landscape is always changing. What I mentioned today about Andromeda, maybe there's a new galaxy that they have named their new targeting system, and now people have like brain chips and like retinal implants so they can see ads in real life, or something like that, and you'll have like or like like Oculus optimized ads, or like VR, or like there's so many things that will change over time. So things will change, but our commitment is whatever's going on. We are in different masterminds. We talk with top experts about this stuff, and we learn from those experts, and we are kind of exchanging information. So we're always on top of this, making these tests and learning these lessons so you don't have to. We will always, always, always be on top of that. And fortunately, we're going to be basically your media buyer, and it's just getting easier with creative-based targeting instead. With Andromeda and where things are at right now, at least, it's volume of creative and testing over time, especially when you have a really strong foundation. And then it's your levels of awareness too. So going from unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware, to get people to move through that journey, which is basically the funnel. It's like unaware is most people, problem aware is like a decent chunk, solution aware gets to like 1 to 3%, and then product and most aware are very, very tiny, just your like immediate wedge and slice of the market. And over time, there's going to be so many different things that we can grow and expand with you on, depending on, our relationship. There's like deeper growth, partnership opportunities too. Like, for example, I'm currently developing software with one of our partners, and we're talking to VC. So there's like options for making sure that that's validated, and we get good user feedback, and we can actually show that it's improving results and solving a problem, and then we can help get funding and then do some really cool stuff with that. There's low ticket campaigns, there's webinar funnels, there's challenge, like there's so many different campaign types, and there's so many different places to retarget people on. You might be watching this on YouTube currently, and I don't know if I'm going to retarget from this video or not. Probably not, but yeah, maybe, we'll see. But yeah, basically there's so many different platforms that you can expand into as well. So even if Facebook goes down, there's like cold email. I've done cold email, LinkedIn ads, or direct LinkedIn. It's like all about getting attention and then converting those people, like capturing that attention, converting that attention. So there's so many different ways to do that with campaign types and platforms, and we can help you expand into that stuff in the future as well. And again, trust the process. Results rarely happen overnight. I have seen that happen a few times where it's like we flick it and then we're suddenly getting like a beautiful cost per lead and book call. And it's like really just making sure that we are steady, we have a plan, and we follow that plan together. So yeah, if you have any questions or concerns or anything like that, feel free to reach out to your CSM on your next call. If there's anything urgent or immediate, feel free to flag us in your Slack channel. And hope you got some value from this video. All right, appreciate you, and I will probably catch you later. See ya.